Hi, welcome back to the farm. My name's Roz, also known as Passion Flower, and you'll find me here each week talking about my farming and creative life. It's been a reasonably warm week this past week, and it's going to get quite hot again today. So I'm over here in the shed recording reasonably early before it gets too hot. I've got the doors open, the fan on, and then I'm going to try and get some dyeing done directly after this as well. And then hopefully sit inside and knit for the rest of the day. So last week we got the spray unit from Landcare, and I've been out 3 times so far. I probably should be out now because it's actually pretty good weather for doing a little bit. It's not totally still, and the sun is out and it's going to get quite hot, but I think it's going to get hot really quickly. And we're working on the paddocks at the moment, so there's actually no shade or relief from the sun at all. So we've done our top finger post paddock and we have done most of the dam paddock now. So the next thing is to finish the dam paddock, to do One Tree Hill, and then that's the paddocks done. But it is about finding the time and the right weather between office job, activities and things that I have going on, weather. It's either too hot, too windy, too wet, whatever. So it's finding the right days and fitting it in with everything else, and knowing that we have only borrowed it and it will probably need to go back at some point. We will be able to borrow it again, but it's just getting it at a good time to be able to get all the blackberries done. At the moment in the paddocks, they're quite dark green, so you can see them from quite a distance, and the grass is nice and low, so you can walk and spray and see the majority of it really, really easily. But it is hard because it's not like a big wall of blackberries where you can just stand and spray. It's spraying a little bit, walking, spraying a little bit more. And as I said, it's exposed and quite open in the paddocks. So it's the long sleeves, the long pants, hat, gloves, and it's quite hot work. Yeah, something that has to be done. And speaking of being hot and dry, the grass out here for the sheep is completely dried up. There's like tiny little green at the very bottom above the taller dry, which they're still trying to find. But there's not a lot of grass left. So I think this week we will put in their first big round bale into the bale hay ring feeder, whatever it's called. And then I will shut off the shed grass area, try and hopefully get that to sprout a little bit, maybe give it a water and a sprinkler from time to time, so that they will have a little bit of green grass. And then as autumn comes into winter, hopefully the grass will come back. But in the meantime, they will be on mostly hay. The one thing though with this ring feeder is that once you get the bale upright and take the binding off it, if it rains, it's going to get quite wet. There's quite heavy predicted rain for tomorrow, so I think the plan will be that later this week we'll put that bale in once we know that it's going to be reasonably dry. But I'm trying to figure out some kind of way to fashion a lid to go on top, something that is easy to get on and off, that is not too heavy, but is not going to get blown away, and that is not going to sink down in the middle and get everything wet anyway. So kind of working through that at the moment, but if we can get one in and it gets a little bit wet, that's not so bad, but we don't want it to get really wet and sodden, because then it kind of defeats the purpose of having that really big bale all at one time, because they won't obviously be able to eat it super quick. The idea is that it'll last for a number of weeks before we need to replenish it. And if it gets wet, they're probably not going to want to eat it, and we'll have to dig out what's in there and redo it again. So need to try and figure out a lid. And I said last week that I had no ripe passion fruit. Well, now I have plenty, which is fabulous. Almost every day this past week, there's been at least a couple that have become ripe. So I need to kind of watch and check the vine every day to see where they've dropped, because they fall down into the garden bed and kind of underneath my deck a little bit. or they start at the top of the deck and it's on a slant and they roll down. So I've been sort of watching to see where they are and collecting them as I go. And they are really sweet and delicious. So I'm very happy about that. As I said, warm days, so I'm not able to spend a ton of time over here in the shed. I do open up the big roller door at one end and have the doors open, so there is some airflow. But even so, once that sun beats down on the roof, there is just no escape from the heat. So unless I absolutely have to, I'm not going to be over here. And as you know, I'm slowly building up my stock for markets. So I am prepared and I can plan my time and not have to be over here unless I need to be. So what I've been doing is coming over early, doing a little bit, which is what I will do now, and then doing a little bit in the evenings and like popping in to rinse and hang and knowing that it's going to be hot and dry them really quickly as well. So that's been good. As you can see, I've actually made more mess rather than less mess. I've been moving things around to try and figure out where I'm going to store some things, and I was looking for a different tub that had some other bits and pieces in it. So things are sitting right here at the moment, and because it's still quite warm, I haven't done the rest of the clean, which will happen. In my mind, I'm motivated to do it, but every time I come over here, physically, it's been too hot or I've had something else that I've needed to do. So it will get done, and then there will be a new tour video available for that as well. So everything that I dyed up last week has all been reskeined and is now up in the shop, including the My Country mini skein sets. I finally got around to getting those packaged up. So if you've been waiting for those, they're now available. Now let me show you what I dyed up this past week. I did a batch of Golden Ticket from my Wonka series. I did some Snozberries also from Wonka. This is not reskeined yet. When I sell it, it looks all messed together, but it's actually dyed in chunks of colour like that. Some Fairy Floss, so bright, light pink with a little bit of white through it, but mostly pink. Nasturtium, so different oranges, and hydrangea. And they're all on sock yarn. So now I have some DK yarn soaking, and I'm going to do some batches of some DK yarn. I've realized that my DK stocks are actually quite low. I think partly because the second half of the year for markets, I focused on sock yarn because we were going into the warmer months, and now it's a little bit, now I'm thinking towards winter. So I need to make sure that I get my DK up so that for winter and cool weather knitting, there is something available for you in the shop in all of the colors. As you can see, I am wearing my Flamboyant top, which I will talk about in a minute in creative in terms of the knitting. But what I wanted to talk to you about now is the yarn itself. So here is the yarn balled up. It is a 5-ply, so a sport weight yarn. It is a 70% Australian and New Zealand virgin fine wool, 20% silk and 10% cashmere. But it is processed in Italy, just to give you full disclosure on the content and where it comes from. It is a really round yarn. You can see, yeah, it's focusing there. Really nice and round. It is actually 3 plies of 2 together, which is what makes it nice and round. You can see there. So when you kind of untwist it, it becomes 3 different strands and then 6 different strands. It drapes beautifully. It's really lovely to knit with. It's actually really durable. I ripped out this section, this side, I think, a number of times because I kept making mistakes, and it has not affected the quality of the yarn at all. You cannot tell the difference in terms of the fact that I did that. I think it was 3 or 4 times that I had done almost the whole half and then ripped it back again. So it held up really well to ripping back, and it has blocked out really beautifully, and the fabric is lovely. So I'm going to be stocking some of this. I've just placed an order. So I will be, once it arrives, I'll be dyeing up some colors similar to this, and like the new one that I showed last week. I've got some quite good feedback about that. So those will be the kind of colors that I think that I will do on this base. And I think it makes a really lovely summer top that I'll talk about in a minute. I've also decided to try out a different base. So I've ordered some like 10 ply Aran weight yarn to try out. I've been wanting to knit myself an Aran weight kind of cozy jacket kind of thing. So I have ordered that kind of for myself, but kind of for you guys as well. So I'll try it out, and if I like the base, then I will add it to my range. One thing to note, and I know there are some people that have been waiting for this, the wispy lace is on back order. I've been in contact with a supplier, and it was supposed to be arriving this month, but there has been some delays, so it is still on its way. I've placed my order. My order's confirmed, but I just don't know when it's going to arrive. So that is coming. So unfortunately, I can't dye any more wispy lace at the moment because I just don't have any. Now to actually talk about Flamboyant, I might put some pictures in here rather than stand up, although let's see if I can show you. So it's got detail around the neck, stitch pattern, and then it's sort of an A-line cut here, a little bit longer at the back. Little cap sleeves. It drapes beautifully. It's really comfortable. Nice and big and blousey, just how I wanted it. I'm super happy. As I said, I did have to rip out this side 3 or 4 times because I had trouble matching up the stitch pattern. It was my head, it wasn't the pattern itself. It was because it was reversed from the first side, and I thought I knew what I was doing, but I just kept mucking up the numbers and doing the decreases and everything in the wrong spot. Stupid. The pattern is Flamboyant by Marie Amelie Designs. It's a free pattern. There were a few spots where it's not 100% clear, and being free, you can't complain about that. I think her patterns are great. As you can see, the style is really cute. There was a cross stitch at the middle here to like make the V once you join together, and that wasn't included in the abbreviations in the pattern, but just a quick Google and I was able to find what it was and how to do it. My main modification was that I didn't do as many increases in the body as was called for in the pattern. I think I stopped after 5 or 6 increases rather than doing it all the way to the end. I sort of did those and then I just knit straight for the rest. And I think that turned out fine. I didn't want it to be hugely A-line, so it's just slightly A-line. And it's got a really nice I-cord bind off on the sleeves, around the neckline, and along the bottom as well. And I think that finishes it really nicely. Oh, and of course now it is all washed and blocked, so this is completely finished. It was great having hot weather because it was literally blocked and dry within half a day, so I was able to wear it straight away. So now I finished this only a day ago. I have already started something else. I've cast on and I have made a lot of progress, and I haven't worked on anything else. So those other socks and everything has just been set aside. I am all about knitting summer tops at the moment. So I've decided to knit the Daybreak Tee by Nifty Knittings. and I am using a yarn that I bought on the Unwind cruise in January last year from Port Lincoln. It is a recycled denim, 80% recycled denim, 20% mixed fibers. There's really no other information. It's not like a company. It's actually like the company is called Recycled Denim. It's a DK weight, and I managed to get 3 skeins of this, and it was all that was in this shop. And for a while, then I thought I only had 2 skeins. I couldn't find the third. It had fallen down the back of the stash behind everything else. So I was looking for patterns, and I was limited with my yardage. But then I thought, no, I'm for sure had another skein. So I looked back through my photos from the cruise, and I found that I did have 3. So I went diving into the stash to find it, and then I was able to find a pattern that I could actually make. And I've been thinking about making things with my stash yarn from the cruise because I'm next going on an Unwind cruise in a month from now, and I feel like I needed to make a little bit of progress on some of that stash before I could justify perhaps buying more on my next one. So this is also a free pattern. Here is the yarn. So it's denim blue. It feels quite coarse in the ball, but knit up, the fabric is just so beautiful. I'm actually really excited to wear this. It's going to be really light and lovely. So I've already done almost half of the body. It's just knitting stockinette in the round, ribbing at the bottom, no shaping. It's just knit until you get to up to the underarms. So at the moment, it's literally just going to be a crop top. So I need a fair bit more body. And then it's got a simple lace panel across the top. And the sleeves are just sort of knit as a square off the top. So you do the top and the back separately and then join them together with a 3-needle bind off. So I think it's going to be a nice, simple, mindless pattern to do on these hot days with the air conditioning. And yeah, in 2 days, I have just zoomed through and I'm really, really enjoying it. I did say I've done no more knitting apart from those jumpers, but I have done some spinning. I have finished the bobbin of singles of the Stormbringer that I showed you a couple of weeks ago. So it is from Wool and Wire. And I talked about that I'm going to match it with this, and I'll have to find the tag or go back to a previous video and figure out what this who this fibre is by, where it's from. Pretty sure I bought it at a Bendigo Sheep and Wool show, but I can't find the tag right now. But my plan is that I'm going to ply those together, just do a simple 2-ply. And I'm hoping that will make a really pretty yarn. So I'm going to leave this to sit a little bit longer because you're supposed to leave them to sit, singles to sit on the bobbin for a little while just to let it rest before you ply. This has been sitting for a very long time. So I'm trying to be a little patient before I do this, and then I need to decide a new fibre to pop on the wheel. But I don't have that many bobbins, so I kind of have to wait and ply this so that then I can start something new. Well, that's it for another week. Thanks for spending some time with me. If you're enjoying these videos, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you next week on the farm. Bye.